All right, Maxwell, we have taken, about a 3-week hiatus now since our FF7 Thanksgiving episode?
Yeah, since an official stream, yeah, I had enough of you, so
That's
I had to
right.
take a big break.
Well, no, what's cool, though, is that we've actually managed to polish
We've
up
been,
our streaming
yeah, we've been
capabilities a little
testing
bit.
things.
Yeah, so as you now notice, we're doing a completely different series. We haven't abandoned FF7, but we're testing this out, doing
We're
a
gonna test it out. Yeah, we've
Metroid
been trying to
retrospective, yeah, on my
make
new
things
computer
free.
here.
We do it for you, the
That's right.
people.
The people. So yeah, if all goes well and this recording works out just fine, this will wind up being the first in a series of the 4 canonical Metroid side-scrollers
Yeah,
that we're
man.
looking at here.
And we'll probably finish this before 7 still.
Yeah, most likely. 7 still has a solid disc and a half worth of content to go, whereas
I mean,
you
we're
can...
getting pretty good with that, but I feel like we could just blast through these games.
Oh yeah, you can easily polish off a Metroid game within, probably 4 or 5 hours if you know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So now we're starting,
Although I
of
don't
course,
think-
with Zero Mission.
Yeah.
Because... Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think Fusion will kind of basically guides you pretty well, so I think either of us could do that, but I'm not going to remember crap from Zero Mission. I never actually finished this game myself. So.
Oh, really? So this will be a nice take for you. Now, what I love about Zero Mission is, as far as I'm concerned, it pretty much replaces the original Metroid, which, you know, for all of its innovation, has not aged well at all.
No, it hasn't. I mean, yeah, it's a very important game, but this game's still fun to play.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I pop this into my GBA occasionally when I'm just bored, so...
Yeah. And this also kind of, I mean, just the controls in this game are fantastic.
Yes. And playing on a 360 controller, obviously we're using emulation. Since I...
you can do it, Chris. Come on.
Yeah, right. Since I already own this game, yeah, it plays surprisingly well on a actual 360 controller. So, so far, not bad.
Like I love the pictures.
Yeah, the Chozo. But yeah, now we've been playing Metroid together probably as long as we've been playing Final Fantasy together, huh?
Yeah.
That was one of our first projects together with Super Metroid back in the day.
Yep.
Which was also my intro to the Metroid series.
It's been at least 20 years we've been playing.
Yeah.
Yes, Super Metroid was... I mean, I remember being a really little kid playing the original Metroid, but I never beat it when I was that little.
I never... Yeah, I definitely played Super Metroid before I even touched the original or Metroid 2 on the Game Boy.
Oh yeah, I never really... you introduced me to Metroid 2. I totally
is that right?
That. Yeah.
That's right, because I inherited it from my grandpa when he was in the hospital and they gave him a Game Boy to kind of keep him occupied. I inherited that after he passed away, and so I got Metroid 2 for it, and again, good game, but when you're coming off Super Metroid, it just doesn't stack up.
Yeah, well, the original game, no.
Yeah, AM2R, though, which will be next up on our playlist, would be quite different.
Yeah, that's right, and I haven't completed that game just yet. No, which is sinful for me. I enjoyed it so much playing it when I was over there.
Well, maybe you can guide us through that one then. If you play through AM2R.
Alrighty.
That wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, we'll start from the beginning. I can at least get to where I'm at now.
Yeah, right on. You know, I don't know why they bother in this game making you even get the long beam. I mean, you get it first thing, so... I guess it's probably just to introduce complete newcomers to the idea of Samus's upgrades.
Yeah.
And because that's how they did it on the NES.
But it's like, why do we have to start... I mean, okay, for this game it makes sense, but beyond this, why do we have to start every single mission with Samus being, like, nothing? Like, they just strip her of everything. Oh, we're gonna take all your goodies, Samus.
Oh boy, Kraid and Ridley. Shout out at this point to Starbomb with their song about Kraid.
Oh, yeah. The Kraid song.
Actually, pretty much any of their songs are, hey, why don't you fuck right
Their
off?
songs are awesome. Yeah.
There we go. But you know what? Controversial statement here. I actually like how this game controls a bit better than Super Metroid. I like the really kind of like weighty jumping and fast movement.
Yeah, I can understand that. And playing, AM2R recently, I have definitely gotten used to that.
Yeah, it kind of marries the better exploration of Super Metroid with the controls of Zero Mission.
Yeah, and
which
and like
again,
you said, it kind of makes Samus feel more like a ninja, sort of, with a gun.
Right, gun ninja. It's amazing still to me that was a fan game. That's just wild.
It's crazy good. I mean, that guy should be making money hand over fist. Seriously, it's
I think
kind of a shame that.
I think I heard that after Nintendo put the kibosh on his project, that he got scooped up by a development studio. So I think things turned out okay for him.
That's good. I mean, you would think that would have to happen. I mean,
oh
you
yeah,
would be stupid enough not to scout that guy.
But as much as I love Nintendo, their fan relations just from the corporate end could be much better.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look at things like what Sega did with Sonic Mania.
Oh yeah, that's bar none the thing that everyone will compare it to is what happened with Sonic Mania. I mean, that was just such a... Oh, it worked incredibly well for them. That was the right call for so many reasons. Especially since Sonic Forces just came out, which is kind of like the quote-unquote actual Sega game, and it's terrible. It's par for the course for...
Buddy.
What's that?
You were cutting out for a second. Sorry,
I see.
But I think I got the gist that Sonic Forces sucks.
Yeah, it's kind of par for the course for what they've been doing with 3D Sonic. And on the one hand, like, they've just released Sonic Mania. I hope they kind of, like, come full circle and learn the lesson here. The people don't like, Ratitude new Sonic. we really just want the classic side-scrolling platforming.
It's like they don't want to fully embrace... what was the game that... I mean, Colors was alright, but Generations was like... Yeah. For a 3D Sonic, it was pretty good. And why is that? I think it's because half of it was sort of classic
they
Sonic.
Actually brought back the classic Sonic gameplay for half of that game. The 3D sections were actually not great, but half of it was pretty good.
Even
regular
the classic Sonic was kind of like gimmicky. It looked really nice, and it was cool to have him back.
Yeah.
But the control of it, the gravity, just how he played, it wasn't anything like the old Sonic games.
It wasn't quite. It was still serviceable, but it wasn't quite... I don't know. Maybe it was a little too weighty. It's kind of the exact opposite about how I feel about this game, whereas I think the additional weight works well for Samus. It does not work well for Sonic. You need his jump to be really floaty. Really?
Oh, shit. Yeah. That... I kind of feel for Sega almost, because when the transition to 3D happened for games, I mean, Mario, it was able to happen. I mean, Nintendo had to put a lot of work, and they basically invented what the 3D platformer is today.
Right.
But Mario could make that jump, because it's like, what does he do? He's just a really good platformer, He just... His whole thing is just really tight controls.
Exactly.
And with Sonic, tight controls, sort of, but it's more about the speed.
Right. And the maps being fluid enough that even though the controls aren't super tight, you can recover from stuff like that. Like, unlike Mario, it's not like you lose a power-up. You just have to collect a few more rings and you're good to go again.
Yeah. So it's like, with the jump to 3D, what could they do? I mean, they had to make it fast. It couldn't not be fast. So it's kind of hard to make a game like that and still feel kind of tight without being glitchy or just weird.
Well, I think what bothers me most about 3D Sonic is that they've actually done it successfully before. I mean, the first two Sonic Adventure games, they're not perfect, but at the same time, they weren't abysmal either. And Sonic has kind of settled comfortably into really bad 3D platforming, which I don't quite understand. I mean...
I feel like it would be better if they did something that's kind of like Sonic Adventure, like the first two games.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I don't know if those games have aged extremely well. I like them.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I'm sure some of that is nostalgia, but at the same time, they're not so glitchy that they're unplayable. Sonic 06, for instance, bordered on unplayable with like technical issues and other nonsense.
Through the ground and it was
bad. Load times for talking to civilians, which why the fuck is Sonic even talking to civilians in the first place?
Yeah, that was not a good game.
Nope.
And when the game, you're actively fighting, like the game itself is like one of Sonic's biggest enemies because the glitches will kill you. That's not good.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like, far be it from you to like actually develop skill in that game because it's just gonna dick you over anyways.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Sonic Adventure, you know what? There was room enough in that game where it took skill to actually beat the levels.
Right.
But also, it took more skill to do the levels quickly.
Yeah.
And to, think of, like, us, we Speed Highway. You can, jump off the platform that's moving and just...
Oh, yeah, in the opening section, yeah.
If you were good enough.
Yep. And that's the great thing about those games is... I think that's the other problem with Sonic 3D right now is that so much of it is really on rails. And back in the original ones, they actually really encouraged you to get good, to know the levels inside and out.
They did.
Which made it feel like classic Sonic, even though it was in a new dimension.
They're trying to emphasize the speed even more, which you don't have to. He's quick. He doesn't have to be
he's quick enough,
quick.
Right?
He doesn't have to be that quick where he's just hyperdrive.
Gotta go fast. Gotta go faster.
Yeah, he was plenty quick in Sonic Adventure. There was some parts where if they wanted to emphasize, ooh, damn, getting freaky with that. If they wanted to emphasize his speed, they would put it on rails for just a few seconds.
Right. Yeah.
And then it would go back to the platforming.
Right, but that wasn't a substantial part of the game.
No.
Another thing to think about, think of the grinding mechanic. That was hardly present, if it was present at all, in the first Sonic Adventure. In Sonic Adventure 2, they had a couple on-rails grind sections, but they served the levels, and you could jump between grind rails, and you kind of felt cool doing it. It didn't overstay its welcome. And then,
it was kind of fun.
Starting with Sonic Heroes, 80% of the levels would be grinding on rails, and it's okay, so where's the actual, run around and platform parts of this level?
Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of Sonic Heroes at all.
No, I don't think anyone was. I mean, that's really where the cracks in the foundation started to show.
Yeah, that and just how they forced you to play. It was... Some of the stages felt oddly vertical, and it was...
Yeah, having the three characters on screen at once, it didn't quite do it for me.
Damn, you're just blasting through this.
Yeah, like I said, I have a fairly... This was kind of my go-to portable game for a long time in the end of my high school days.
It's funny that...
I don't think I'll remember quite everything, but... Oh yeah, I know. That's the great thing about the Metroid series as a whole, is that when they're doing their best, they really become ingrained into your consciousness, where some of it becomes muscle memory.
Yeah.
This Super Metroid, I'm sure if I give AM2R a few more plays through, that would be the same. To a lesser extent, Fusion. I guess we'll see how well I remember that when we get into it. Unlike the other 2D Metroids, I really only played through that maybe twice total. Is that really all that was up there? Yep. Just those bugs to dick you over. Okay. But yeah, Fusion was a little too on rails for me. I still liked it. It was a very solid Metroid game, but it kind of veered away from some of the things that made Metroid so much fun to play in the first place. Kind of encouraging you to go and find your own way around. It guided you too much. And this game still does that a little bit with the Chozo statues, but it corrects it in a large degree.
Oop.
Was I cutting out again there? Hello? Oh, I think I lost you. We'll see if Max's headset comes back on.
I'm back.
Okay, you're back. Hello.
Sorry.
Did your headset disconnect, or was it just Skype being Skype?
Yeah, I think it's the Skype.
Lovely. Okay, so as we kind of test this out, that may be something to consider. If Skype is going to regularly get glitchy on us, it may be worth switching over to a different screen sharing program.
Yeah, I think it will. We streaming?
Yeah, we're streaming still. As far as
All right.
we go on my end, nothing seems to have happened. If you can still see my screen, then I think we're good.
Yeah, I still see it, although it's pretty rough.
It's chugging a little
And
bit?
the sound has died.
Ah, interesting. Okay, so maybe we can get past a boss or so and then call that the first episode and sort of see what we can do to correct that on our end. The nice
Alrighty.
thing is that we're still going to get a solid recording because it's going from my system, which obviously it's just recording whatever's on my screen.
Yeah.
So at the very least, you'll be able to appreciate it on its YouTube form. But yeah, it's kind of neat to sort of figure out these things as we go along.
Yeah, we'll iron it out. I
Yeah.
think probably just the sharing is probably the biggest thing, which
Yeah.
I'm sure once we find the right program.
Yeah, it's got to. I'm thinking it's got to be the program because as far as technology goes, we're both running pretty high-speed internet. I'm not sure what, if anything, your video card would have to do with it.
It might have a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it being hugely oppressive though, because I mean you can stream video from
Yeah.
Netflix in 1080p just
Like
fine.
I can stream
so.
1080p YouTube videos.
And we're
so,
broadcasting in 720 right now, so.
Yeah, so I think it's mostly, if I can do that, it's mostly probably just the program not playing nice, because like you said, both of our connections are pretty robust.
Right. Yeah, so I don't think
Yeah,
we'll have a problem there. I checked my
I'll look
internet
into that.
beforehand, and I think I'm still downloading at like 80 megabytes per second, while my upload is around 10 or 11. So we shouldn't have a serious problem, I would
Yeah.
think. Okay, let's see if I can do this. Aha! There we go. You like that skill?
Yeah. In Mega Man, that would be kind of like an impossible jump.
Yep. Okay, so are these flies just going to keep appearing, or what are we doing here, Metroid? Alright. For God's sake, that's... Every Metroid game has to have that one enemy that just, like, relentlessly harangues you.
Oh, AM2R. Oh god, the enemies are getting so hard where I was at.
Yeah, you know, that game manages to actually introduce some welcome difficulty to the
Yeah,
Metroid
just the combat
side-scrollers.
itself, not necessarily even just the exploration, which is always, has its difficulty. That's
Oh, yeah.
challenging and rewarding. But the enemies, I'm cool with it. But damn, some of them are relentless.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's
They're
kind of the
just
neat thing
designed
about
to
that game.
screw with you.
Yeah, that's kind of the neat thing about that game is that it actually makes you consider a little bit, like, your enemies and what weapons you have available. And I found myself actually using missiles in regular combat in that game, which is something I
Yeah.
rarely do in other Metroids.
Yeah, and I guess, because it's just basically your arsenal is somewhat limited in that game. I don't think it's as robust as it is in other games. Like, well, I don't know. I only have like some basic beams in that game, so maybe it's gonna expand.
Oh yeah,
But,
you get the full on like Super Metroid gambit of weapons by the time that game is done. I think the only thing that it doesn't include is the grapple beam, which has never been like a
as far as
huge
combat.
part of Samus's arsenal. It was
Yeah,
actually
and
more
it's-
useful in
You
Super
have,
Smash
like,
Brothers
weird
than
water
anything.
monsters.
Yeah. So now here's where I'll probably start to forget a little bit what I'm doing, which is really where Metroid is at its best. I know I'm pretty close to getting the grip gloves, which is another great feature of Zero Mission and Fusion. Let's see if I can... There we go.
I'm seeing Samus in mid-tumble.
Oh, nice. Oh, did it freeze up on you?
Just a little bit.
Okay. Is it back? I mean, are you seeing motion again?
Not motion. It's more like a flip book of Samus just somersaulting.
Interesting. Okay, so Skype is not being our friend right now.
Did you get an item?
Not
I
yet.
see
Or I got a
up
missile
now.
back there. Did it catch up?
I think it's catching up. Yeah, you're in Criteria, so I see
Okay,
that.
cool. Yeah. All right. So I think we're at the same place now. Yeah, that doesn't seem like an internet connection issue to me. It seems more like video.
Yeah.
It could also be my upload speed to you. I'm not 100% sure. I mean, we can get this to work on PS4 fairly well. We'll have to try a different program and kind of see.
Yeah, because we can try PS4 tonight. Like, if that's working really well, then it's not the connection.
Right.
I do like that they added basically almost not quite the sprites, but just the definite look of some of the enemies from Super Metroid.
Right. Yeah, this did a really good job of kind of marrying the NES Metroid with Super Metroid.
It did, because the NES Metroid, I mean, they're the same planet, but the Zebus from Super Metroid just seems totally different.
Oh, yeah. They never felt even close to the same.
And in this game, they make it feel like it's actually the same planet.
Right. You're maybe just, like, exploring different parts of Brinstar and Criteria and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, come on. Here we go. So let's see here. Here we go. Grip gloves coming up.
I've read that as chorizo ruins.
Chorizo ruins, yeah.
I've
spicy chorizo ruins. So here's also where you start getting these mystery upgrades that come into play much later in the game. Which again is something they added to this, like the space jump and the gravity suit and all that good stuff. But of course, in the original Metroid, that was never a thing.
You didn't have the items.
Right, exactly. What am I doing? There we go. But it was kind of cool that they added that kind of epilogue, or, I don't know, you said you've never really... Oh, that's right, grip gloves. You said you'd never really played this through to the end, so do you know about this game's, like, epilogue segment?
I don't.
Okay, so basically in this game, this is hardly spoilers, after you beat Mother Brain, the planet, or there's the detonation and countdown sequence like there is with every Metroid. But what happens is you actually see what happens immediately afterwards. Samus, her ship gets shot down, and she winds up in a space pirate, like, mothership, and she's stripped of all of her suit and all of her upgrades, so it almost becomes like a stealth section, but not necessarily in a bad way. And basically you go through this ship, basically just trying to survive until you get to the armory, and it unlocks her full gambit of upgrades, including like the gravity suit, space jump, power missiles, all that good jazz.
That's pretty cool. All right.
Yeah. So it gets pretty interesting. And then the final boss is actually a giant mechanized version of Ridley. So it's pretty cool. They didn't just recreate the original verbatim. They actually added a little bit to it.
Added some. Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, as far as remakes go, this is almost pitch perfect in my book. It stays extremely faithful to the original. Kind of adds some more modern conveniences. Wow, your air conditioning is really out for blood, isn't it?
Oh, you still there?
Yeah, is that your air conditioning, or? I'm thinking I lost you again. We've got to do something about Skype for sure. So anyways, if you can still hear me, what it will do here is get to a save point, and then we will call this the first episode, since we actually did some decent progress. So for what it's worth, even if you can't hear me, I can still hear your radiator or whatever that is in the background. We'll just see what we can do to improve from here on out. I just heard you say okay.
Actually come in a lot better now.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You're coming in a lot better now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, now you're busting out. Oh, Skype. Alright, let's see here. Let's get back to that save point and we'll call it an episode. The nice thing about this game is it's short enough that if the quality really suffers, we can easily just record this a second time, because clearly I remember what I'm doing well enough to make it through this in pretty good pace. Nope. Didn't want to bomb you. There we go. Jumping. Okay. So here's the save point. And now, since we're having such atrocious technical difficulties, this will be a good place to call it an episode.